Right, I am a bit nervous, but I didn't write a normal speech, so I've wrote this. Welcome one and all to this lovely plot. In Kyra and Chris, tying the knot. We'd like to thank you all for coming, all dressed up and looking stunning. Some have travelled from far away. We really hope you enjoy your day. And for those in heaven watching over today, we miss you all, I have to say. Now, they went on a date. They started to dote. Do you know they were fixed up by the goat? They fell in love. She thought he was weird, but she just couldn't resist that hairy beard. Chris took Kyra by the hand. She said, "Steady on, lad. I'm in a marching band." Kyra and her friends started playing the kazoo. Chris says, "I've got something you can chew." Chris liked a bit of Iron Maiden, but after today, he'll be ball and chain laden. Now Kyra, our little shining ray, brought into the world by RK. And our Kyra, she hates to cook. She walks in kitchen and she kind of gets stuck. They chose this date for good reason. They knew it would past the band season. I'll try and be quick, so please don't barrack in toasting the new Mr. and Mrs. Parrott. Kyra and Chris, what a lovely team. 3 beautiful boys, I think they look green. And so love blossomed and brought us here. What a great day to top off the year. Chris served in our forces, he went out to war. I welcome you, son, from Mr. and Mrs. Bradshaw. So raise your beer or glass of claret in toasting the new Mr. and Mrs. Parrott.
Well, how do I top that? I don't know where to start there. Bloody hell. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming to mine and Kyra's special day. I hope you've enjoyed it because it's the only one that's going to be happening. I know I have picked the right woman to spend the rest of my life with. I would also like to thank Pogo and Kay, my new in-laws, but they are more like friends to be honest. They're always up for crack and always very welcoming. I would also like to thank my mum. I know I can be a pain at times, but you've always been there for me, through thick and thin. Especially when I was injured twice in Afghan. You tested our family unit to the limit. I would also like to thank the bridesmaids and bridesmen who scrubbed up all right today. I would like to propose a toast. A toast to the bridesmaids and bridesmen.
Cheers!
Well, I would also like to thank my best men, Gary and Mitch. You all know I'm a greedy bugger. I couldn't just have one. Also, my first choice couldn't make it today. Now on to the most important bit. The bit about Kyra Jade Parrott. That's going to take some getting used to, that is. I'm looking forward to the rest of my life with Kyra and the boys. Looking forward to watching the boys grow up into respectable young men. I'd like to toast to the future.
The future.
Future.
I'm looking forward to having a bit of time away with Kyra. We go on honeymoon, and it's just the two of us. In a few hours, I'll have gotten married last year. That's crazy, that is. And I'd also like to announce a toast to my wife, Kyra. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of the night and a Happy New Year.
Yeah.
I did better with my lines.
Does it mean first? Yeah, you might have to. Hey? No, I can't see that, can I? Right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Good afternoon.
Right, for those who don't know me, my name's Gary, the goat, apparently. I'm one of the best men. As you can see, I'm a little nervous, slightly adorable, and unlike the Grim, I have a full head of hair. That's before I had my haircut. Thank you to Pogo for his speech. Tough act to follow, I'm sure you'll agree. Particularly since I look like him from the future, come back to warn everybody about dangers of late night cheese toasted. I'd like to thank you all for making the effort to come along to celebrate this beautiful day, especially after finding out it wasn't an open bar. And yeah, it's kind of my fault we're all here today, as I'm sure I've mentioned this once or twice before. Because I got them together, and I did a good job, don't you think? So, on behalf of the bridesmaids, bridesmen, and us best men, I'd like to thank Chris and Cara for including us on this very special day. I know how much effort and preparation has gone in today, and I can assure you, Kyra, Chris is having a great time. Speaking of the bridesmaids, bridesmen, aren't they looking fantastic? Roxy, Cass, Vicky, Leanne, Tom, James, thank you for arranging a tasteful yet drunken end-do and making sure Kyra got her in time and looking absolutely stunning. And on that note, it's time for Mitch to do his speech. Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you to raise a glass for Mr. and Mrs. Parrott?
Thank you, Gary. Brilliant speech. Right, my turn. Jeez, thank you. My name is Mitch, and I'm the other best man. I've known Chris for a... Thank you. Thank you. Just you, no?
Just Gary.
Just big spoon.
I've known Parrott for a very long time, but I got to be real good friends with him about 7 years ago. Back when Chris had a full head of hair. And from there along with a load of other friends, we've been to festivals, a lad's holiday, and loads more. From the time I spent with Chris, I have to say I'm very glad that Gary here did set Chris and Kyra up, because before that, he just wasn't bothered about relationships. He was only bothered about spending time with his friends, having a good time. He was always caring towards his friends, especially on a night out. He'd always want to buy him rounds, even when you'd had enough and he hadn't. Then when you were too drunk to look after yourself, he'd let you stop at his, usually laid by the toilet just in case. I didn't look at you. Years ago, I was out celebrating a career change, and it was a night where I had way too much to drink. He helped me into the taxi, into the house and managed to lay me into his tiny spare room where there was only just enough room to lay down with my head by the toilet. But then I got woke up at 5 a.m. by him picking me up. What had happened was I'd managed to completely turn around so my feet was by the toilet. He lifted me up just going, "Mitch, what on earth are you doing?" And just dropped me the other way around and went back to bed. I then woke up to a huge racket downstairs, reminding me how lucky I was that I never slept on his sofa in his living room, which was surrounded by his surround sound. And of course someone was sleeping there, weren't they? Bless him. There's no end of stories like this. I think it's fair to say that most of Chris's close friends at the time all have had a time where they've had too many to drink. Thanks to Chris.
Maybe.
By all means, just ask him. Kyle in particular has got 2 great stories.
Straight drop.
I think it's fair to say Chris has definitely lived his life in full since he retired. I believe he got into a relationship at the perfect time because he had his last holiday of lads' holidays with us months before meeting Kyra with me, Stu, Kyle and Liam, where rather than spending afternoons drinking us by the pool, he was needing his beauty sleep in his room. Kyra, I have to say, looks great tonight. A lot of you may know that she's been on a very healthy diet for at least the past year, which I think is fantastic considering what she told me about a year ago. That while she sat on one side of the table with a salad or jacket potatoes, this one was on the other side with either a burger or a greasy pizza. They make a great couple, and I really like how Chris has taken to looking after her kids, Brad and Shane, before having their own kid, Alice. All I see here is one happy family with a great future ahead of them. Before I finish, I just want to take a moment to thank a few people. I'd like to thank, obviously, everyone that came to the Stag Do and made it a great weekend.
Brilliant.
I'd like to...
Trust us.
I've lost where I was now. I'd also like to thank Pogo and Gary for helping me organise it. Pogo has also helped with a lot of other things on this wedding. I think he's gone far and beyond, so thank you very much for that, Pogo. And of course, thanks to everyone who is here, who has made this a great day it is for Chris and Kyra. Thanks to everybody. So may I ask everyone to raise a glass once more for Chris and Kyra, and let's continue to enjoy this great day and a new year to remember. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.